Tom Allen Center, Stratford, London. Date Tuesday, the 6th of June, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Funeral service takes place at Greenacres, Epping Forest, Kiln Road, North Weald, Bassett, Essex, United Kingdom on Wednesday, the 7th of June, 2023 at 11 a.m. There will be a night of tributes on Tuesday, the 13th of June, 2023 at Sheba Center, 20 Mobolaji, Bank Anthony Way by FCMB at 5 p.m. This will be followed by a commendation service on Thursday, the 15th of June, 2023 at the Chapel of Christ, The Light, IPM Road, Alausa at 10 a.m. He is survived by wife, children, brothers, uncles, aunts, and cousins.
This is Nigerian Idol.
Season 8, Nigerian Idol, live and direct.
I don't know the words yet.
You have a great work ethic. Be passionate about what you do. Talent is never enough.
Wow! You're incredible. What? My glory! Oh, glory!
Wagba, this season, no greet anybody specially, nobody face show, nobody shoe shine, no teeth white.
Okay, we are back again.
Hey.
And I must greet you specially.
Brand new season starts on the 23rd of April, 2023.
Proudly sponsored by Biggie Drinks, Nigeria's favorite, and Techno Mobile.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did...
First, with breaking news.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where we share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more.
The Nash.
The CRP offers end-to-end electronic registration solution for accredited customers and the general public to initiate and complete pre-registration and post-registration applications electronically. Online filing of annual returns, online registration of limited liability partnership and limited partnership. See you there.
Hello and thank you for joining the Monday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, federal government sets to consider demand by TUC over fuel subsidy removal as NLC insists on strike. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kaide Balogun. Wamoji Jamio will be joining us via Zoom, and Kolawole Johnson from our Abuja studios. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Fuel subsidy has been a protracted issue in Nigeria, and its removal has stirred widespread reactions. The federal government says it may set up a tripartite committee to discuss the demand of the organized labor for wage increases in the face of the hike in petrol prices. Speaking with newsmen in Abuja after a meeting with the Trade Union Congress, TUC, the government spokesman, Dele Alake, said TUC presented a list of demands to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal. One of such demands is an increase in salary as well as review of the minimum wage. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress decided to go ahead with its plan to start a nationwide strike on Wednesday unless government reversed the decision. Let's share some updates on the issue with you.
Nigeria's fiscal authorities at the public presentation of the 2023 budget earlier this year made it known that subsidy payments would stop by June. They added that just 3.36 trillion naira had been earmarked.
Leaders of the Trade Union Congress arrived for a crucial meeting with the federal government over the removal of fuel subsidies. This time, discussions between the federal government and the Trade Union Congress are fruitful, but still inconclusive, as further talks will continue on Tuesday. But the Trade Union Congress succeeded in putting a list of demands on the table for consideration by the federal government. The topmost of these demands is an increase in the national minimum wage.
Yes, the demand are so long, there are so many. There are so many. Part of it was the demand for a minimum wage. And we stated that for us, it is quite apt that the minimum wage today is not a living wage, as we all know. The value of the minimum wage since it was negotiated has plummeted to a very abysmal level as it is today. So we've, and topmost in our demand was clearly stated as well that for utmost good faith and in the interest of social dialogue, that they should revert back the pump price while discussion continues.
The federal government understands the consequence of a failure to meet the demands of the labor unions and has continued to hold talks. The demands of the Trade Union Congress will be presented to President Bola Tinubu as the federal government hopes to ward off a looming workers' strike.
Most important top priority on the list, which the government is also looking at very seriously, and the president has announced before, is the issue of the minimum wage, which the labor movement has demanded as a consequence of this removal of the consequential impact of the removal of subsidy. So government is looking at that, and Mr. President is most likely going to constitute a tripartite committee. That is the committee of federal government and including the states, then the organized labor on the other part, and the private sector. Now, this is a tripartite arrangement. It will be a committee that will study all the dynamics of a wage increase, the percentages, the numbers, and the categories that will be affected. So by Tuesday, when we come back to reconvene and meet with the TUC again, the labor movement, we should have very concrete items to present to the world.
President Tinubu and the Trade Union Congress seem to be on the same page regarding the increase in the national minimum wage. Still, the other demands presented for approval will determine how organized labor and the federal government will walk the tightrope of the removal of fuel subsidy. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, Jay, the update now, except something gives. The Trade Union Congress is ready to continue negotiation with the federal government. Yeah. That is it. But the Nigerian Labour Congress, led by my friend Comrade Joe Ajero, is saying that let's go back to the status quo before we negotiate.
Yeah, but you see, it makes sense to always leave the door open for negotiation. What Ajero must realize is that he can still achieve his aim what is the aim at the end of the day? Whether we like it or not, removal of subsidy is inevitable. We cannot.
Are we sure we all agree that this Congress, they all agree to that fact that, look, the devil in the room is the removal of subsidy?
Well, I did not hear him telling, when Peter Obi was campaigning all over the country and he said, look, once I come in, I'll remove subsidy. I never heard Ajay Rose saying rubbish, sir.
Okay.
I didn't hear him say. All the major presidential candidates campaigned on the basis that this subsidy had to go. This is something that can best be described just the way Peter Obi described it as organized crime. That's what it is. We leave people to be suckling on the teeth of subsidy for so long, turning themselves to billionaires at the expense of all of us. No one among those who are clamoring for strike will say that they do not know the harm that this subsidy regime is doing to us as a nation. They are aware that even the World Bank has warned Nigeria that it's either you let this subsidy go or you will be ready for bankruptcy. I don't think Ajero wants Nigeria to become another Greece in his lifetime. Neither will he want to see Nigeria become another Sri Lanka, even in the lifetime of his children. So whatever we do, we should take away sentiment. I admit that as labor leaders, they must find the best deal for their members.
The best deal.
The best deal is what the labor leaders must find always. Yes, I give it that to him. But you cannot be rigid. And I do not also believe that it makes sense to call out electricity workers. That would be very irresponsible. It is against the law.
Yesterday I was...
You know, they did it the other day and got away with it. During the military rule, some people tried to do, they did that. IBB put them in jail. So Ajero should not get electricity workers to join this strike because they are. It's just like telling the police.
It was the immediate past Secretary General.
Whatever he was.
Yes,
whatever he was.
I know.
He knows that such category of workers are not permitted by our law to go on strike. It's just like telling police to go on strike or the army to go on strike. They are in the same category of essential workers.
Can't afford to shut the national grid.
So you can't do that. Whoever does that, the full weight of the law should be visited on him. When they did that in Kaduna the other day and they were filming themselves, I said, what kind of irresponsible people are these? You even filmed yourself turning off the grid? Where does that happen? So Labour has the right to clamor for sweetener or anything for that matter that will cushion the effect. I am for that. I've been saying that, look, this is what ought to be done. But you can't insist that you will not even talk unless this is reversed.
The Nigerian Labour Congress is saying that, that the new administration would have carried us along at least before the public announcement and would have agreed on palliatives or whatever we want to do. So as a result of that, go back to the status quo. Do you agree with this line of argument?
Well, the first question I asked was the fact that are they aware that the regime was going to end of June anyway. That meant that for 1.5 years, we've known that this regime is going to... It was also end in January, if you remember. It was Buhari in his wisdom who decided to extend it till June. So unless you are telling me that...
When the PIA came, that should even be...
It was automatic. Are they telling me they are not even aware of the laws of the land that guides the removal of the subsidy in the first place? Because if you are putting everything on the new administration, you are only being clever by half. Because technically, whether Mr. Tinubu moves a finger or not, this subsidy will end. So that means the Labour itself has been sleeping on its duty for the last 6 months, not negotiating with the government that just went, on the inevitability of the subsidies removal that is coming 6 months down the line. Something is not right here. Because you cannot wake up one day and tell me that a pregnant woman who is about to deliver have not told you she's pregnant. You had 9 months to know. So you cannot make plans as a husband for 9 months for a pregnancy to be delivered. Something is wrong somewhere. So it's either somebody is playing to the gallery or somebody just to be mischievous.
We're always talking about palliatives. Scholar Willie Johnson, can you suggest to Nigerians realistic palliatives that the federal government can put on the table to cushion the effect of the removal of this subsidy?
Before we get to palliatives at all, let's look at the numbers on ground. First, Nigeria spent 3.6 trillion naira last year on subsidy. This year alone, between January and May, we've done, on the average, 3 billion naira. That's about 20 billion naira daily. And we know that this is killing the economy. If we have this money to pay, it is good. But Nigeria, we don't have this money. As a matter of fact, since last year, the NNPC has not been remitting. Why? Because every penny we make as a country goes back to subsidy payment. And the fact is this: if that was all, would have been fine. But NNPC says that all the income has gone into subsidy, yet we are still owing them 2.8 trillion naira. In 2022, from the Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria spent 96% of the entire income on paying debt. So the country is sinking further in debt crisis. Take, for example, the first quarter of last year. Nigeria made 1.6 trillion naira altogether in terms of revenue, income. And we spent 1.9 trillion for debt servicing, telling you that we needed to borrow to even service our debt. If we spend 96% of our entire income servicing debt, what that tells you is simple: that to pay salary, Nigeria is in trouble. We had to borrow to pay. Few months back, the governor of Edo State came out to tell us that if Nigeria is able to pay salaries from May this year, that it would be a miracle. And the top economists, they have told us that the main bane of our development, why Nigeria is sinking further, why we can't pay salary, why we cannot attend to infrastructure, is basically because of our consumption. And of course, I listened to you talking about the presidential candidate of LP that talked about moving Nigeria from consumption to production. And the largest consumption we are having as a nation is this subsidy. It is a no-brainer that it should go. Now, we are saying that we should have palliatives, but that would take measures that would take some time. And listen to the labor leaders saying that we should have everything in place, the palliatives in place first, and maybe the refinery working. Let me take your mind back to 2007. See, if I have a house and I have a back gate in my house, and I notice that this back gate has given access to criminals to come rob me each time, over time, consistently, and I said, let me close this gate completely, and I have a son who is saying that, don't close the gate. Now, I think I should suspect him. So let's look at what happened in 2007. Before Obasanjo left, he sold the refinery to Dangote then. And guess what? Yeah, for $750 million. He sold the Port Harcourt refinery and the Kaduna refinery. And what happened? The labor union, the workers, the union of the oil sector workers, they closed this nation down and insisted that that sale be reversed. OBJ said, the sabotage in the industry is much. We are spending money on refineries that aren't producing for us. And so he left the government, and Yar'Adua was held to ransom. He was forced to reverse that process, and we paid Dangote that money back. He simply took his money and got another opportunity today. He has, of course, the largest, single train refinery in the entire world. Now, can you imagine if the same union had not insisted on taking that refinery back? Imagine what we will have today. So the process of producing the palliative was frustrated by the same people who are saying that do not remove subsidy. Now, you ask yourself, what exactly are we getting from the subsidy? Let me give you the numbers. Now, let me give you an example of the woman in the village. A household of, say, 6-person, family in the village. The mom, the dad, and perhaps 4 children. Now, the mother only goes to the market, maybe just once or twice in a week. Now, that's twice in that week. He takes 50 naira to the market, maybe 50 naira back. He ought to pay 100 naira toll and 100 back, no problem. But he does that twice. So she pays 200 naira, and not paying the, so that means the government is paying 400 naira, for her. That's for a family of 6. Now, let me bring you to the extreme high. Now, in that extreme high, the same family of 6 perhaps will be having, like, say, 8, 9, 10 vehicles. And these vehicles are V12 engine, V8 engine. And guess what? The man with his convoy will go out daily. The children, will cruise out with their friends. They burn fuel anyhow. The wife also goes out. At the end of the day, they have done, like, say 100 liters, on that day. In a week, they have done minimum of, say, 600 to 700 liters. Now, in the entire week, he ought to pay, say, like 4 million naira on fuel. But, apparently, he's paying far low. So, invariably, when the government is paying millions on that man, government is only giving that poor woman maybe 500 naira max, or say 1,000 naira. So who exactly is profiting from this subsidy? It is the... No, sorry, hold on, please. Hold on, please. I'll
come back to you, Kola. Let's join. Moji Jamiu will be joining us. Kola, I will allow you to finish your analogy. And Moji Jamiu, because in all this, some Nigerians just discovered that they started buying fuel at the filling stations for 500, 540. They don't understand what is going on. They don't understand the dynamics that, there's something that is subsidy. It's like too ranchy to some people. Some people don't understand it. And to some people out there, it is Bola Tinubu that has come with his own new regime. And that, this regime is hard. So can you tell us what is all this about?
I will start by talking about the viral video of the chief imam of Ogbomoso. I can't remember his name now, but his Friday's sermon 4 days ago, last Friday, was on fuel subsidy. And if we could have our traditional rulers telling the masses, the congregation, the truth, like the chief imam of Ogbomoso, then this country will be a better place, rather than for some of them to be predicting and telling Nigerians and telling their congregation what God never told them. The man broke it down. In fact, he was talking like a professor of economics in an economics 101 class. Like talking to a breaking it down to a first-year class of, Jambites in an economics class. He's saying that, he said, would you rather prefer a situation where about 100 or 200 people holds the country to ransom, taking the subsidy that 200 million Nigerians should be taking, and as if that is not bad enough, this same 200 Nigerian cabal, quote and unquote, enjoying this subsidy, will still take this same fuel across the border. The fuel they bought from NNPC at probably 160 naira per liter, and go and sell it across the border. They sell more than 40% of this fuel across the border to Cameroon, Niger Republic, Benin Republic, and Togo at about 600 naira per liter. They are still collecting subsidy from the federal government. Just about 200 of them. And these are the people, I don't want to believe this is true, fueling the NLC, telling them to go on strike. Now the imam said, Tinubu campaigned that he was going to remove subsidy during his campaign. And when he got there, that was what he did. He said he never lied to us. And now, talking about the figures, I'm happy that the last speaker spoke about the figures. In 2012, the total amount we spent on subsidy was a mere 1.2 trillion.
Yeah.
Between January and now, we have spent 6.7 trillion naira on subsidy alone. The figures are there. And we have a national budget, a 2023 budget of 11.34 billion, which means we have spent half of the 2023 budget mid-year on fuel subsidy alone. Now, another worry to Nigerians and to some of us is the fact that what subsidy is taken from us and that is going to this few cabal is more than the provisioning for both, education, health, and even defense combined in the budget. So it's going to be painful in the beginning. In fact, I'll go back to that Imam again. The Imam said we should all go back to when mobile telephoning started in Nigeria, that we were buying SIM cards for 30,000 naira, which is a fact. Today, SIM cards, you can get it for 100 naira, from 30,000 naira to 100 naira, because the market was deregulated. Now, what is going to happen to fuel subsidy or to fuel regime in Nigeria, that I presume is the fact that, yes, we are buying at between 440 and 448 and 537 today, because they have been telling us that we are consuming 100 million per day. But in the last 1 week, average consumption has come down to between 50 and 60 million per day, because they can't take it to Benin Republic again. It is no more profitable. So with time, by the time we all realize that subsidy is no more in the game.
All right, MJ. Thank you, MJ. Thank you for that intervention. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We're still talking about the removal of subsidy. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away.
Home from work, in the busy traffic, your car breaks down. Car horns blast. Your car is pushed aside. You call for help. Phone battery blinks and dies. You take a cab. Few miles, tire bursts. What a day. Frustrated, sweating, and tired. Nearing home, darkness envelops the street. Wow! Just one house is bubbling with life. Brilliant lights, loud music, smiling wife, all welcome you.
We alone have light?
Yes, it's JRB Solar Energy Systems, my anniversary present to us.
No matter how dark life is, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar street lights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. JRB, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do.
Get ready for an inspiring journey into the world of Nigerian media and the life of one of its brightest stars. Introducing Becoming the Queen of Talk TV, the highly anticipated debut book from Moriah Afolabi Brown, the host of Nigeria's #1 breakfast show, Your View. With over 2,300 episodes of Your View under her belt, Moriah is known as the Nigerian Queen of Talk. Her passion for speaking up for women has made her an influential figure in the media industry, both locally and internationally. In her first published book, Moriah takes readers on a journey through her remarkable career, chronicling her life story and swift rise to success. Mark your calendars for June 2023, when this one-of-a-kind book will be unveiled to the world.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is the second half of your flagship news and current affairs program, Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogun. And Kolawole Johnson is in Abuja studio. and Mujid Jamiu is joining us via Zoom. And I also have a professional that's an oil expert waiting from the United Kingdom, that's Tunde Adekunle, to join us via Zoom. We join you very soon. It's a loaded program, and we are just concentrating today on the subsidy crisis generated as a result of the removal of that subsidy. Ultimately, this is the first time I'll see, I don't know, during the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Labour Congress, they've called out some strikes, some successful, some not successful. So ultimately, the last time we had very successful strikes was during the time of Adams Oshiomhole, effectively grounding the country.
Yes.
And can we afford to go back to that era right now?
No, we...
5 days, 6 days, people locked down home with our economy right now.
See, for the purpose of grounding the country because subsidy, which is an enemy of our country, has been removed, is not a reason to ground the country. In fact, that would be waging a war against your own country. We can't have the kind of strikes that we had during the Oshiomhole era. We can't have it. And you know, even at that time, government will still succeed in its aim of increasing fuel price. Sometimes what you gain is just a matter of 2-3 naira, you know, and then you ask yourself, does it make any sense to embark on like 4 or 5 days strike only to have like 3 or 4 naira considered by government? Even Oshiomhole never achieved substantial concession from government. It's usually something little. And at a point, you see that even labor will be weary because some people will be going to work. And that's not what you want to see. Once some people begin to go to work, the strike is failing. So in this case, I do not see that level of success that we had during that era. And that's why, if I were the NLC, especially now that they are talking to TUC does not believe in an outright strike. They said it from the beginning. If I were them, I would not close the door of negotiation. I will be looking at what I can get
last minute,
what concessions I can get, because at the end of the day, if it is TUC that secures some concession, then it's bad for the Ajero group. And these are the kind of things that people don't forget.
Legitimately, it is the right of NLC. As in, you can't just, Ajero is just coming in, and the new government just came in, and the policy, and they can't just sit down and say, oh, government, oh, carry on with your, we are behind you. Any sensitive labor that's cater for the welfare, or cares about the welfare of the workers, who want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it is going to the extreme, going on strike?
Of course it's going to the extreme, but people negotiate in different ways. Some have the patience of a Job to give government a very long group for them to come to a negotiation, ultimately to an agreement. Meanwhile, some will just go straight to war. But the Nigeria of 1988, during Babangida years or the Oshiomhole years, is not the Nigeria of 2023. The Nigeria of 2023 is so segmented along religious and ethnic lines that it will be almost impossible to present a united front to fight this particular battle. And already the cracks are there from the beginning. People are already picking sides on whether to go on strike or not. The danger here is that you don't use your ultimate weapon so early in the game. Ajero is not a chess player. You cannot simply sacrifice your queen. Basically, when you need pawns to play with. By now, you are showing that after the strike, what next? That's the question. Let's say the government stood its ground.
And they can't reverse this.
You can't reverse it. And the government said, no, I'm sorry.
It's only the National Assembly. People must realize that Tinubu did not remove subsidy.
No, it did not.
The decision was taken by the previous administration through the National Assembly. So if anyone wants us to return to status quo ante,
go back to the National Assembly.
Have to go to the National Assembly, because that decision was taken at that level. So that Tinubu said subsidy is gone. He's only reporting like a journalist.
It's an affirmation of the reality
of what the decision that had been taken
6 months ago.
You remember that the Minister of Finance even talked about it the other day. When people thought she was saying that, they are not going to remove it, she said no. She said no. We are only waiting for the incoming administration
to take office.
To implement it and look at modalities by which they can implement. So that decision was a Buhari decision. Nigerians need to know that. It was a decision taken by the president.
It was an inherited decision.
And that decision flows from the passing of the PIA. Because you can't deregulate that sector and still say subsidy and be fixing prices. No.
Strong. Okay, joining us for more discussion on this issue is an oil and gas expert from the United Kingdom, Tunde Adekunle. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, this is your field, and what do you think have gone wrong with Nigeria as a country? What is your take on the impending NLC strike?
Wow. It's a big question. Where have we gone wrong? Well, we've been kicking the bucket down the line over the years, and we can't continue to kick the bucket any longer. Now, there's so much of misinformation out there on this subsidy issue in terms of why do we have to remove it? It's after all, some nations do provide subsidy. Fine, yes, some do, but then can they afford it? Now, my main concern, or shall I say the main issue, problem with the subsidy on this issue, like I said, is what everybody has said, and we've all agreed that subsidy, like the Vice President said, he said, if we don't kill subsidy, subsidy will kill the country. Now, where do we go from here? People have been comparing the cost of living, the minimum wages, which is one of the things the unions are talking about now. That in UK, it's 900,000 naira a month. In America, it's blah, 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 which is false. Now, to calculate the cost of living, to calculate the minimum wage, you have to take into consideration your standard of living. Now, if we now look at that, that's something that, if you look at the standard of living in the United Kingdom and in America, it is not the same. No two countries' wages are the same. Your wages is determined by your standard of living and your cost of living. Now, removing of subsidy, even the strike itself, so to say, I believe the NLC took a wrong position. In trade union, you don't go for strike while negotiation is still on. Not even when the negotiations are not even broken down. According to reports was that there was a deadlock. Deadlock means that negotiations are still on, but you could not agree at that point in time. But you're going to still reconvene and continue where you left off. But for the NLC to call off the strike immediately, unilaterally, like I said, unilaterally by the executive, or so to say, is normally in the other parts of the world, what they do is this: before they go on strike like that, once things happen like that, they call a Congress meeting and report back, because there are different unions that make up the NLC, and discuss these things that come to make a position. Some might say, no, let's have a strike, or we should go ahead with this. You don't just call a strike like that, because there is no breakdown in negotiation in this aspect. Now, that's by the wayside. So I was, in my own opinion, yes, the prices of petrol is going to be determined by market forces, but then the government has to what we call protection of the consumers as well. We can't leave everything to be determined by market forces. no government leaves everything prior to be determined by the market forces, because in our own case, in Nigeria especially, we have people who will take advantage, and to the extent that the profit margin will be too high. So what I mean by protecting the consumer, with the template of determining the price of the final price of the consumer, the government will put a cap, like a percentage, that the marketer cannot sell above, let's say 20%, depending on the area, 20%, 25% differential. That's one way of, protecting the consumer. It could be, at the end of the day, maybe it would be 400 in a place, it could be 300 in another place, depending on those variables. But then the government has to play a role in protecting the final consumer in that aspect. Now the government can, you talk about palliative. Palliative is another form of subsidy market.
No.
So we have to be careful. What exactly are we doing? Subsidy is money. If you're budgeting, if you're carrying out palliative, that means you're still subsidizing something. So what the money saved from the subsidy should be transferred to infrastructural projects. Like it could be hospitals, government can, social services as well, in terms of healthcare delivery. Say, I'm sure every worker in Nigeria will be happy if, say, kids from ages of 0 to 18 benefit from free healthcare delivery. These can be transferred from the subsidy as well. And adults over the age, retirees, say 60 and above, free health, things like that. These are things that the government, in my own opinion, the government would look into. And there's so many things the government can do. But saying that they're giving palliative, palliative subsidy as well is that, I heard that they were going to give 5,000, 10 or 50. How much are they going to budget? Which is a one-off, which is nothing. So, but then the government cannot go back on this. Saying that I heard the president, the NLC president say, yes, there is money, blah, blah, blah. The government, I believe the government has been transparent enough. Members of the House of Assembly has actually come on air to explain this thing, that yes, it's in the budget, but there's no money to back it up. Even in every yearly budget, the yearly budgets, it's not always, you don't always get what you ask for from government in terms of your budget. You might budget 50 million. And budget is only released depending on the funds available to government at any point in time. Your budget for your department could be 50 million naira. And at the end of the day, you might not get more than 10,000 or 10 million to execute your project. So budget, yes, but what about the funds to back it up?
Thank you today.
So these are the things.
Thank you today. We have. Let me interject you there and take Awan. Awan, thank you for joining us. We have a full house in the studio today. Everybody wants to contribute.
Thank you so much, Ayo. Ayo, I think NLC should please let us be. We have had enough from NLC. Where is this same label when our currencies were confiscated 2 months ago? Where were they? When a lot of poor people lost their businesses, where were they? Are they just waking up from slumber? Or
are you saying it is wrong for them to call out workers on strike?
Hello?
Are you saying it is wrong for NLC to call out workers on strike because of this?
Wrong. It is very wrong, Ayo. Everybody, every right-thinking person in this country believes that fuel subsidy has to go. We don't have money to finance subsidy. We don't have. The palliative should be, every Nigerian should adjust. People should adjust. People should learn to live within their means. Even the $800 million we are borrowing from World Bank is a borrow. It's a loan. We are borrowing to give people 5,000 naira, 50 million people. It's a scam. Ayo, if you give 5,000 naira to people today, who will give them next to borrow? It's scam.
Thank you, Awa. Thank you, Awa. Kola Ole Johnson, let me go to Kola so that we'll be wrapping up and we'll get back to the studio. Kola, so it's 48 hours to the deadline given by the Nigerian Labour Congress, and the electricity workers too, they gave their own notice too, and people are apprehensive. They don't know what will happen come Wednesday.
See, I was trying to land on what you asked me before, on what kind of palliative. So I was running the figure to tell you. Of course, I made a mistake by saying that the man that should be paying 400,000, not 4 million. That the government is paying over 200,000 for him. But the woman in the village, the family in the village, the government only pays 1,000 for her or for the family through that subsidy. So palliative that will work will be that person in the village getting more through education, through power. Having stable power, through having good infrastructure, the roads, education. So if the person in the city who has all this access is now declaring strike, it's like declaring strike against the people who need this money the more. Those who are taking this money are the one up here. Those who have frustrated the workings of our refinery are still the same people declaring strike now. So for us, 48 hours is a long time. While I believe that negotiations should, of course, should be ongoing, we should never have a reason, I repeat, we should never have a reason to go back to the old regime. Nigeria cannot afford that. And these are the dangers. Please listen to this. Because these cabals, each time you have a new government, they go to them, let this thing stay. This is your share. Even if the principal, the topmost person, the president is not aware, those who are around him, they feed fat on this. We must not allow, of course, these are politicians. Somebody told me on a live program last week, I was on air on Monday, and I was advocating for the subsidy removal. Even before the man announced it, I said we should remove it immediately and not even wait till the end of June. Then the man called in and said that these politicians cannot afford it because they need money to fund their elections, they need money to fund their base, that this is where they get the money. So if we are not careful, politicians who even who are around the same government may want to also ensure that this regime comes back so that they can have their own share. So it is the duty of you and I, AY. It is the duty of the media and those. See, Sanusi spoke against this. Additional spoke against this. Where are they? They should be talking today for us to maintain this. We shouldn't go back. Because this is meaning that we are, the money that should be going into roads, construction, into education, into health sector, is what some people are pocketing into their pockets. Nigeria does not have this money. It would be a disservice to this country. See, they have all tried to do this, from OBJ to Yaradua to Jonathan to even Buhari that called it a scam. Under him, the thing grew. That will tell you the fact that these guys are monsters. We can't overcome them. For the president to have this gut, this courage to do this, I don't want to commend him yet, though, because there are still many things to be done. But for this, let me give him that commendation and to please plead with him never to allow himself to be reversed on this one. 48 hours. If they refuse to back down, we should also call the bluff of the bad things now. See, there is no way you will see it, head or tail, whether you like it or not. If we go back, it is doom. So let's just face the strike. It is a strike.
Just so much, but MJ, Moji Jamiu, we are running out of time. At the end of the day, Moji, are you there? At the end of the day, when you want to see this and look at in the last 48 hours, the number of things this has affected, transportation, food, everything, to the common man on the streets. They are now looking up to the government that please do something.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
MJ.
Yes. See, but the government while removing subsidy, should also cut its coats according to its cloths. They must show us that they are also tightening their own belts by reducing the cost of governance. It is very important. That is only when the days where the governor will go with a 20-vehicle convoy, where a wife of governor will go with a 15 or 10 vehicle convoy, should be a thing of the past. We all see the convoy of the Prime Minister of UK, just 3 or 4 vehicles. So please, I think government also need to cut down on its spending so that people can really take government serious. And also look at the demands of the TUC and labor generally by increasing wages. The $800 million should be channeled toward paying or probably increasing minimum wage rather than giving handouts to people.
All right, thank you, Majid. Thank you, Majid. Thank you, Majid there. Jide, quickly, before we allow today to go, do you have a question for him?
Yeah, does he agree that fixing our refineries will have any impact on PMS price? That's just what, because they keep saying, no, fix the refineries, will it really have an impact on the price?
Okay. If the Kaduna refinery is working, Warri, Port Harcourt refinery, they're working at maximum capacity, would there be any effect on the price we're buying PMS 1 liter? Sule, can you get that question?
Can you repeat yourself, please?
Yes.
What? Okay.
My question is, people keep saying, oh, government must fix the refineries before even subsidy removal. If we fix the refineries, will it have any impact on the price of PMS? Will it bring it down significantly? What impact are we going to derive?
It will have an impact. It will definitely have an impact. Because, number one, we will not be importing that much. And because that will be out of it. Now, if it's fully deregulated, so to say, if it's become fully deregulated, where you have many players and in the market, even importation of fuel, because there are different types of PMS in the market. So you could buy from anywhere at the prevailing rate there. So it could be cheaper in country A than country B. So this coming into it, then there will be competition in the market as well. Even though we produce, and a marketer might decide to buy elsewhere cheaper than what any of our refineries are selling.
All right.
Depending on the market, depending on the situation at time.
I want to thank you today, Adekunle. We'll take this a breather. Thank you for your contribution. When we come back, we'll talk more.
My name is Tain Jack Rage. As you all know, that Nigeria is not only the largest economy in Africa, but the most populated country in Africa. And report has it that by 2050, Nigeria will be the third largest population outside India and China. But Africa, despite the fact that its population today is about 1.42 billion, only accounts for about 3% of global trade. That's about $2.5 trillion. Not even close to the state of California. So it's not enough to talk about a challenge, but let's talk about a solution. And that solution has to be sustainable. What we need is the integration of Africa in the global political and economic value chain so Africa can access the right technologies and the right nuance. What we need is to build the right industrial gateway and ensure that local communities have access to technologies through broadband and other medium to be able to pursue a life of self-dignity. And that's the way that we can help families that are struggling to have access to the right, opportunity to grow the needs of their families. And low-income communities and low-income families can also access opportunities. Please pass this message to lawmakers and policymakers here in the United States to try the best to include African Union as part of G20 economies, and also to try his best to include a country that is called Nigeria as a member of the G20, so Nigeria and Africa can access opportunities and, litanies of whatever is available within, the technology space that have been matured to grow opportunity for those families that are really struggling. This project has started and I am out of it right now. It's a movement that we cannot, backpedal. And I want to say to you that listen to me and those who are here and the next speakers, that please let's work together to support this beautiful initiative for the good of humanity. Thank you and God bless you.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go. Dream on. Change your world. JRB Solar Inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
Wow, 60 minutes is not enough for us to just take on this first subsidy. Well, it's going to be issue. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to go back so that we can take more guests, take more analysis on
the whole matter is successfully dissolved.
So at the end of the day, what happened during, sometimes we go on strike. And by the time it's 3-4, you just see commercial bus drivers. The strike we used to have before, because they have to eat.
So they survive daily.
They live for the day.
So they can't afford to be away.
A lot of them don't have savings.
It's what they make today, they will eat today.
So you can't keep them at home too long. It's not going to work. And these are more difficult times than the Jonathan era.
Say that again.
And the Jonathan era. What you need to do, the sacrifices that you must make to survive now are greater than that time. Nigeria had greater prosperity that time than now. So,
all right, we have to leave it there.
Till tomorrow.
Thank you for your contribution.
It's a pleasure.
Kolawole Johnson from Abuja, thank you for your contribution. And Moji Jami, thank you for your contribution. And I want to thank Mr. Tunde Adekunle from London. Thank you for joining us. Of course, the master himself. We have to put this together. I want to
compressed, shaken together.
As only the maestro can.
We'll be here tomorrow. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight on Journalist Hangout by 11 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.
Is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone, your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to much more restful sleep. Old-fashioned leg pillows are bulky, but the anatomical design of the Legacy Pillow fits perfectly the shape of your body the way nature intended. You can even use two together for full leg alignment. Legacy Pillow is exclusively ventilated, so it always stays cool and dry. With top crescent design, it cuddles up to you perfectly and easily moves with you. Ordinary pillows go flat, but the Legacy pillow is made up of soft memory foam, so it never loses its shape and the cover is machine washable. The Contour Legacy pillow is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 500,000 naira for an orthopedic bed that doesn't properly support your spine. But call the number on your screen now and get 2 Legacy leg pillows for just 69,900 naira and get relief from back and hip issues. But wait! If you call now, we'll upgrade you to the Contour Better Sleep Collection. The collection comes with 2 Contour Legacy leg pillows and 2 Contour Cool Gel head pillows at no extra charge. The Contour Cool Gel head pillows' soothing orthopedic support will cradle your head and neck for full alignment, while keeping you cool all through the night for the best sleep of your life. Incredible! That's 2 Contour Legacy pillows and 2 Cool Gel head pillows for just 69,900 naira. And that's not all. Place your order now and we'll also deliver your Contour Better Sleep collection with no shipping charge. But hurry! This is an exclusive ShopX TV offer and only available for a limited period. So, call now while stock lasts. Your rest is your wealth.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As you say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal government.
Once it's generated, you have
don't use it, it's waste. We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong?
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
It's day 7 of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office. Thanks for joining us on First 100 Days. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. You can join the conversation now on Twitter if you use the hashtag First 100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. It's President Bola Tinubu's 1 week in office, and as promised, it seems he has hit the ground running, making bold economic statements as well as meeting with critical political and security stakeholders. He also made some key appointments last week. State House correspondent Femi Akonde has details in this report.
It is 1 week into the Bola Tinubu presidency. As the days begin to count, the expectations have not changed as President Tinubu charts his own course in steering the affairs of the country. 29th of May 2023 was the 7th presidential inauguration in the Fourth Republic that started in 1999. It was a fulfillment of Bola Tinubu's lifelong patriotic ambition to be the president of Nigeria. His inauguration was greeted by so much excitement and fanfare. After the ceremony at Eagle Square, the merriment continued. The inaugural presidential ball captured the mood of the country. Clearly, there was no time to bask in the euphoria of the presidential inauguration. The day after, President Tinubu resumed work in the presidential villa. He held meetings with the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to get a sense of the state of the economy. President Tinubu, in his inaugural speech, promised to remodel the economy to bring about growth and development and also end the multiple exchange rates. He also met with the Group Chief Executive Officer of LNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, to discuss the petrol crisis inherited from the previous administration and the withdrawal of fuel subsidy payments. The CEO of Nigeria's oil company disclosed that subsidy payments are no longer sustainable and the federal government already owes 2.8 trillion naira. President Tinubu also met privately with the head of Nigeria's anti-graft agency. Abdurrashid Bawa briefed the president on Nigeria's fight against corruption. On day 3 of the Tinubu presidency, he met with a special envoy from China's President Xi Jinping, who pledged increased cooperation with Nigeria. President Tinubu told the visiting delegation that Nigeria is open to business and constructive partnership. He also promised to enhance the ease of doing business. On the same day, a team delegated by the president met with organized labor to settle the dispute caused by the withdrawal of fuel subsidy payments. Though the meeting was deadlocked, the talks did not stop. On the 4th day of the life of the Tinubu-Shettima presidency, service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police were in the presidential villa at the instance of the president and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Fresh directives were issued to guarantee the security of lives and property. Also, the president ordered security agencies to tackle the illegal sale of crude oil and theft that has eaten deep into the country's revenue. On the 5th day, governors of the All Progressives Congress were the guests of Mr. President, and they pledged their loyalty and committed to working closely with President Bola Tinubu in actualizing the Renewed Hope Manifesto. One major highlight of President Tinubu's early days in office is the appointment of Femi Gbajabiamila as his Chief of Staff and George Akume as his Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The weekend after inauguration was also a busy one as the work never stopped. Another meeting with the Trade Union Congress was convened. This time around, it appears the discussions were fruitful and have started a conversation around the upward review of Nigeria's minimum wage. The Tinubu presidency continues to attract so much attention, and it's also under intense scrutiny by critics waiting to point out if the president falters. There is also a barrage of commendations by those who believe that his administration is off to a good start. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Femi joins me now on the program. Like you said in your report, expectations are high for the Bola Tinubu presidency. In 7 days, apart from the Chief Protocol Officer, we probably have seen him announce the Chief of Staff, the Deputy Chief of Staff, and the Secretary of the Government of the Federation. I don't know if I'm missing any other appointment, but there are some who would say perhaps they expect him to move faster than this. Do we expect to hear any new appointment this week, Femi?
Well, basically, Lifemi, these are the major appointments the president has done. The office of the Chief of Staff, you know, it's very important in running the presidency. It's very critical in how the president's office operates, and also the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is also very crucial to helping the government form its cabinet. You know, the SGF is the head of the cabinet. So these are very important appointments that is gradually helping shape the Tinubu administration and will point it in the direction where it should go. But we are waiting in the coming days to hear some other appointments, you know, especially the appointment of the special advisor on media to the president. Communication is very important. Communication is key, and this government would also be concerned about how they manage communication. So we expect that in the coming days, these appointments will be announced, and some other critical appointments. But we know that he cannot form his cabinet yet until the 10th Assembly is inaugurated, and then he sends the list of the ministers that will make up the cabinet to the Senate for confirmation before these ministers are sworn in. But for now, just two major appointments that we have had announced by the presidency: that of the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, and that of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. Nifemi.
I mean, the president was scheduled to meet opposition lawmakers today, right? We're told that meeting has now been rescheduled to Thursday. It's a rainbow parliament this time, and the opposition has the number to indeed swing the vote for the 10th assembly. What is the president seeking to achieve with this meeting?
Well, the president understands that this is the most diverse National Assembly in Nigeria's democratic history, at least since the start of the Fourth Republic in 1999. And the president also understands that he will need the backing of the National Assembly if he will indeed achieve all of what he has promised during his campaign. And he has also said at different fora that he will stand with the choice of the party. The party has come out to make a zoning arrangement that threw up Godswill Akpabio as president of the Senate, that nominated Godswill Akpabio as president of the Senate, and Jibrin Barau as the deputy president of the Senate. Or likewise in the House of Representatives, we have Senator Tajuddin Abbas, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who is being nominated to occupy the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Benjamin Kalu from Abia State, nominated to occupy the office of the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. What Mr. President is doing is to ensure that, you know, it gets a smooth sail in the National Assembly, to ensure that everyone is on board, because he needs the support of the National Assembly, and he wants to also ensure that, you know, even his party men are all on the same page, and then reach out to people who are on the opposition side, that is members of the opposition party, to see if he can also get their buy-in. He also needs to listen to them, to know what their concerns are, to know what their expectations are, just to help foster a smooth relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of government, because he knows this is very important if his administration will succeed. Nifemi.
Absolutely. The president and his party haven't seemed to budge with opposition within the APC against their choice of leadership in both houses. Is the president still consulting within the APC, and do we expect to see a meeting also in this regard?
Yes, indeed, the president is still consulting within the APC. Just about a few minutes ago, the person nominated by the party to occupy the position of Senate President, that is Senator Godswill Akpabio, he was in the presidential villa to meet with President Bola Tinubu. He also met with the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. We also saw the former governor of Ebonyi State, Senator-elect Dave Umahi, in the presidential villa to meet with President Bola Tinubu. Well, all of these meetings happen behind closed doors. We do not know what they discussed, but we can say that we can of course say that most of what will be discussed, apart from other national issues, would also have to do with the issues of the National Assembly, how the leadership of the 10th National Assembly will emerge. And he also wants these influential lawmakers to prevail on their colleagues, to just pave the way for the APC's candidates to emerge as President of the Senate and Speaker of the House of Representatives. Consultations are still ongoing. We expect that when the President meets with senators-elect on the platform of the APC, he would also make a case for these candidates put forward by the party. Again, when he meets with the opposition lawmakers-elect, he would make that same case for these same candidates, and hopefully he will have his way. But one thing is clear: Mr. President is very involved and very concerned about issues of national importance, especially the relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of government. Nifemi.
So a national strike is looming, Femi. Even though the TUC attended the meeting with the federal government yesterday, NLC is insisting that the strike is imminent if NNPC doesn't change its stance on the new pricing. What are you hearing as to how the federal government intends to arrest this from the villa?
Well, Nifemi, there's already a breaking news on TVC News, where we announced that the Nigerian Labour Congress is currently in a meeting with the federal government delegation. They did not come with the TUC yesterday, but they have decided to come in today to meet with the federal government. We have seen in that meeting the Joe Ajero-led NLC, the National Working Committee of the NLC, in that meeting. We have also seen on the government side, Adams Oshomole, the Group CEO of NNPC, Mele Kyari. We have seen Dele Alake, who is also a representative on the federal government side. We have seen Honorable James Faleke, a lawmaker, who is also negotiating on the federal government side. You know, that meeting is ongoing. Everyone is waiting. Journalists are staking out there. Even Nigerians are waiting, hoping for a favorable outcome, and perhaps the strike might be shelved. But for now, NNPC is still sticking to their guns. They are here to also listen to the federal government and make their own demands, just like the Trade Union Congress did yesterday. They presented a list of demands to the federal government, among which is the increase in the national minimum wage. They are also asking for tax holiday for civil servants and a whole lot of other demands that they have tabled before the federal government. We expect the NLC to do likewise, and the federal government delegation will take this list and present to Mr. President for his consideration. But you know, the federal government is also saying that they would have to set up a tripartite committee to look at these demands that the organized labor is putting on the table. This committee will be made up of course, the federal government, the organized labor, and indeed the private sector, to ensure that they harmonize everything to know exactly what is obtainable, what is practicable in terms of meeting these demands tabled by organized labor, and also ensure that, you know, all states, the subnational governments, the subnationals are carried on board, carried along, because, you know, most of these states, some of them can't even pay salaries, even the 30,000 minimum wage that we have currently in the country. Not all of the state governments are paying that. So what the federal government is trying to do this time is to ensure that they get a uniform wage that everybody will commit to. The private sector, the subnationals, and the federal government will all commit to, and then hopefully they will forge ahead from there. Nifemi.
All right, let's hope that things change in the coming hours as we also look forward to the outcome of this meeting. Femi Akonde, live for us at Aso Villa. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll be joined by former TUCU President Peter Esele on full subsidy removal. Stay with us.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu do solemnly swear Bola Ahmed Tinubu do solemnly swear Bola Ahmed Tinubu do solemnly swear.
The issue of removing fuel subsidy, as announced by the president, is still generating reactions from Nigerians. At the moment, the meeting between NLC and Trade Union Congress is at a standstill with no concrete agreement. However, we hear that the NLC is currently meeting with the federal government representative at Aso Villa. The planned strike is to kick off on Wednesday. Are the workers truly planning a showdown with the federal government on the subsidy removal? Former Secretary General, National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Franco Correa, has warned the NLC not to truncate democracy. We spoke with him exclusively in his Warri home, where he said the organized labor may have been ill-advised to announce an industrial action just 7 days into a new government.
Talking seriously to the labor movement. Who is taking that decision? Where are these type of labor leaders from? You're talking of a national strike, serious, 7 days after inauguration of a government. We are talking of a national strike with 3 days working days notice. Strike of, is it economism? Strike of economism? No, you should at least even give us 14 days notice. Is it a political strike? Even a political strike that is purely political, like what Nupeng did? At least 7 days notice, working days. And you go into dialogue. Then after that, if the government refuses to talk with you, you give another 7 days at least to warn the government. So I have to appeal to my comrades. They should not joke with this democracy. They're well-intentioned for Nigeria. Nigerians are suffering. But I know a man like Asiwaju Tinubu. He was in the trenches with us. He knows the suffering of Nigerians. And I'm watching him. We were watching him. Because those things that were supposed to be done in Nigeria by Obasanjo, by Jonathan, were not done. So now, my appeal to Labour is that they should suspend this action for now and go into serious dialogue with all stakeholders in this matter. And I will appeal as the father and one of the founding fathers of Nupeng and Pengasi, that they know what I'm talking about. And they know the working of the oil industry. They should advise the Nigerian labor centers properly.
Well, watch out for the full version of that interview tonight at 9:30 p.m. Let's speak now to former TUC President Peter Isele, who joins me on the program. Thank you for joining us first 100 days. Finally, we seem to have a president with the guts to implement the removal of fuel subsidy. Why do you think it's been a difficult nut to crack for many years? Mr. Isele, I was asking you, why do you think the removal of fuel subsidy has been a difficult task for government in the past years?
Hello, I didn't hear your question, please.
Why has the removal of fuel subsidy been a very difficult task for the federal government in the past years?
Yes, it has been a difficult task because of policy flip-flop by the federal government. The federal government lacks direction and they are inconsistent in their policy direction.
Absolutely.
If I'm to take you back to the last time President Jonathan did it, President Jonathan virtually had people, I would say, fifth columnists, who actually didn't believe in it. So it was basically 3 people in that administration driving the process. And that was the president, the Minister of Finance, then Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and then the former governor of the CBN, then who later became the Emir of Kano. So for you to take away the subsidy, there are certain parameters that you need to look at. And those parameters, previous government didn't do it. And this current administration also needs to be careful in how it manages it. First thing you need to ask is, why is NNPC at the moment being the one fixing price? If you are deregulating, you deregulate. And everybody has the right to bring in product. But for NNPC to also now be the one fixing the current prices across the country, that is a monopoly waiting to happen.
About that, Mr. Isele, the NNPC seem to have denied that. It says that price was just for its own filling stations across the country.
I'm also telling you that I've also spoken to marketers. Marketers also told me that's the price that was given to them to sell by NNPC.
What happens now moving forward? Because the NLC is set for a showdown, a national strike by Wednesday. TUC met with the federal government yesterday. As we speak right now, the NLC is also meeting with representatives of the federal government at the Aso Villa. Do you think a national strike is a solution to this challenge?
A national strike is not a solution, but a national strike is also a pressure on the government. The national strike is for the government to do what it has to do. The first thing is we need to have had a tripartite agreement. The tripartite committee, which is labor, government, and employer, so that you have what I call building blocks towards finding, augmenting, or mitigating the challenges that the ordinary Nigerians are going to face. We are going to have a lot of headwinds in the short term, but hopefully if government does what it has to do, and then we may have progress in the long run. But the biggest challenge facing government and Nigerians at the moment is what I call trust deficit.
Indeed. President Tinubu has now hinted an upward review in the minimum wage. What more do you expect as a form of intervention from the federal government at this time?
If you talk about upward review of the minimum wage, how many Nigerians? Let me take away my cap as a former TUC president or former Pengassin president, but let me now talk as a Nigerian. When I use the word without any of those baggages, how many Nigerians are really employed in the organized sector? So if you set a minimum wage, the minimum wage would benefit about less than 10%. Organized sector is less than about 4 or 5% of organized sector. So how do you take care of those people in Balogun market? How do you take care of those people who are in the informal sector? Now, the major thing you need to do to take care of those people in the informal sector is to make sure you have a holistic transport system. The major aspect where Nigerians are suffering is cost of transportation. So if you deal with the cost of transportation by having a centralized forward-looking administration, not just the federal government, because one of the biggest problems Nigerians make is that we put attention on the federal government. Federal government, state governors get more money than the federal government in terms of the sharing of the subsidy formula. So what will happen is the money that goes to the state government, what is it used for? Local government also gets it. So we must be able to get what I call VFM, which is value for money. And the transportation system is one that will affect everybody. So for me, that is fair. Secondly, you have to look at tax rebate. Tax rebate for the ordinary man, workers, you are looking at workers, how much are they paying as taxes? You take that off. And then you subsidize agriculture. And then we should be able to look at areas where we know that these are catalysts for growth. And then we put money there to also ensure. Look at gas. We are not a crude oil country. Nigeria is not an oil producing country. We are actually a gas country. So we deploy gas. We deploy gas for people, for businesses to run. And we create incentives for private sector to invest in gas. And when they invest in gas, what you have is that gradually we will all get used to this. And in the long term, we will all look back and smile that we went on this journey.
Indeed.
But on the condition that government policies are genuine and
Mr.
direct.
Sele, hopefully all these interests are represented on the table as labor unions sit down with the federal government to discuss these issues. Mr. Sele is former TUC president. Thank you for talking to us on the first 100
Thank you for having me.
That's our program today. You can watch a repeat broadcast tomorrow at 6 a.m. I am Nifemi Ogutoye. I'll be back at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone. Your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented, ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to much more restful sleep. Old-fashioned leg pillows are bulky, but the anatomical design of the Legacy Pillow fits perfectly the shape of your body the way nature intended. You can even use two together for full leg alignment. Legacy Pillow is exclusively ventilated, so it always stays cool and dry. With top crescent design, it cuddles up to you perfectly and easily moves with you. Ordinary pillows go flat, but the Legacy Pillow is made up of soft memory foam, so it never loses its shape and the cover is machine washable. The Contour Legacy Pillow is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 500,000 naira for an orthopedic bed that doesn't properly support your spine. But call the number on your screen now and get 2 Legacy leg pillows for just 69,900 naira. And get relief from back and hip issues. But wait! If you call now, we'll upgrade you to the Contour Better Sleep Collection. The collection comes with 2 Contour Legacy leg pillows and 2 Contour Cool Gel head pillows at no extra charge. The Contour Cool Gel head pillows' soothing orthopedic support will cradle your head and neck for full alignment, while keeping you cool all through the night for the best sleep of your life. Incredible! That's 2 Contour Legacy pillows and 2 Cool Gel head pillows for just 69,900 naira. And that's not all. Place your order now and we'll also deliver your Contour Better Sleep collection with no shipping charge. But hurry! This is an exclusive ShopX TV offer and only available for a limited period. So, call now while stock lasts. Your rest is your wealth.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
I welcome you to this edition of your informative and educative program, NAFDAC and Your Health, the program that gives you insights into the regulatory activities of NAFDAC, the agency that is responsible for safeguarding our health. I am Amanda Ugo. Welcome. The regulatory powers of NAFDAC on food, drugs, cosmetics, and other regulated products cover importation, production, distribution, marketing, and sale. But not many people are aware that it is also part of NAFDAC's mandate to regulate how products under its regulatory purview are advertised. This is because the manner in which the advertisements of some products are done could be deceptive and misleading.
In terms of unapproved advertisement, this is a huge challenge for us, and that is where I will plead with the Fourth Estate, the media, to assist, and also the community to assist. Because if it is led for NAFDAC alone, the public will suffer. If somebody sees a medicine being produced or being advertised, and claiming that one medicine can heal 200 diseases, they can call NAFDAC if they see a particular product that is linked to that place, or it is that if it is an area, they can call us so that we can go there and make sure that the advertisement, if it is local, I'm talking of in the buses and the parking lots and so on. So the media can help us, the community can help us. Sensitization is part of what we are going to be doing more of. We have to sensitize our people that you cannot have a medicine and say it can heal 20 diseases. How did you know? You know, because we will be causing more problems for our people, health-wise, if we allow that to continue. So we're going to be, you know, doing sensitization workshops, things like that, and enforcement. If there are bad, if unapproved ads, we will shut that product down, because very likely we can track where that product is being made, and then we shut them down. In terms of the media that airs such adverts, we are talking with them. I'm talking with them now to be very careful, because we're going to also go to NCC to help us to make sure that, you know, any media outlet that is doing or making advert that is not approved by NAFDAC, that media outlet should be sanctioned. Ad that is presented for advertisements, the media house or outlet should ask for NAFDAC approval. We give approvals to all ads. We have a different office for adverts, whether it is for food, whether it is for drug, whether it's for veterinary medicine. Each directorate, relevant directorate, has an advert office. So it's not something we just do pari passu. We have to get, the media outlet must ask for the approval from NAFDAC.
Apart from advertisements used on mainstream media platforms, the social media has also been awash with advertisements that fall short of guidelines of NAFDAC in several ways. No doubt, the seeming liberal nature of the social media platforms is responsible for this. This has now necessitated the need for NAFDAC to focus more attention in this direction. Therefore, in furtherance of its sensitization and enlightenment to curb advertisements that are confusing, inaccurate, and non-straightforward, NAFDAC, through its Directorate of Food Registration and Regulation, recently organized a stakeholders' engagement geared towards bringing online adverts under control. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, explained the significance of the forum through her special assistant, Dr. Gbenga Fajemirokun, who represented her at the gathering.
This stakeholders dialogue is aimed at discussing the regulation of online advertisements of regulated food products. NAFDAC Act Cap N1 LFM 2004 empowers the agency to regulate and control the importation, exportation, manufacture, advertisement, sale, and use of food, drug, cosmetics, medical devices, packaged water, and chemicals, otherwise known as regulated products. We all know that advertisement is a vital marketing tool utilized by businesses to promote their goods and services. The promotion and advertisement of regulated products come under very special provisions because of their implication on health. Therefore, to promote and advertise them, there are certain guidelines and regulations that we must all adhere to. Recently, the agency observed a series of unauthorized advertisements of regulated food products, notably online, for instance, on many social media platforms and channels. And I want to believe that this is what has necessitated the invitation to all our clients to come here. And I see that as a very dynamic move by the directorate to make sure that we judge up on the way forward. We will not pretend as if nothing is happening on the internet, on the social media, but it is better that we come together and we identify where those errors are so that we can all be well informed to do the right thing. The incessant and unauthorized social media placements have violated several NAFDAC guidelines and regulations. Today's dialogue is therefore a deliberate step to ensure all advertisements of regulated products intended for social media or any online platform must also receive appropriate approval before they are deployed. It is pertinent to mention that NAFDAC is committed to ensuring the public is not misled by product advertisements. You know, we are here to safeguard the health of the citizenry, and part of that safeguard must come by making sure that the information that is put out there must not mislead the public.
The agency's Director of Food Registration and Regulation, Mrs. Juliana Bolanle Abayomi, spoke further on the significance of the stakeholders meeting.
We are well aware that advertisement control is part of the mandate enshrined by law for NAFDAC to ensure that all advertisements do not in any way undermine regulatory provisions. Therefore, all advertisements, be it online or offline, must comply to the provisions of NAFDAC advertisement control regulation. The agencies are aware that most of the unauthorized advertisements are online and mostly in the social media space, which leads most of the time to the spread of spurious, unsubstantiated, exaggerated, and misleading information to the unsuspecting public. As a customer-focused agency, we are not unaware of the fact that our stakeholders are interested in the trends so as to promote their brands and compete in the market space. We have therefore thought it expedient to organize this rally to enable us to exchange ideas on the way we can ensure proper control of online advertisements, while at the same time not compromising regulatory provisions.
The standard rules and guidelines NAFDAC expects its clients to follow in putting together online adverts for regulated products were itemized and analyzed to enable clearer understanding.
The advertisement approval process is in 4 steps. The first step is when you present your proposed advert materials for issuance of payment advice. You can send this to our email, food.advert@nafdac.gov.ng. Step 2, you submit your documentation via email, or you may choose to come to the office. These are the documents that you submit. I've had cases where people want to submit documents this once and then they keep asking what documents to be submitted. These are the documents you submit. Step 3 is where we come in, processing of the advertisement application. This is the vetting of documents at Food Advert Control Division, the sub-FDRC, and the final FDRC. So, what we mean is that we have all of NAFDAC vetting the documents that you send in. So you know that the decision is not just us, we just start, but we don't end the process. So it could change at any point in time. That's for you to note. So any observed lapses are communicated to clients at any stage of the vetting process via compliance directives. Step 4, this is where we issue advertisement approval. Once an advert application is approved by FDRC, an approval letter is issued for print and out-of-home applications only. But for radio and TV adverts, you're expected to submit your recorded messages as approved at the FDRC meeting.
Today, we're talking of online advertisement. The regulation has gone electronic, regulatory, even very soon, the advert, we understand, will soon be electronic. That's a major advancement in the work of NAFDAC, and that is why it has an advantage over other regulatory agencies, because there have been giant strides in infrastructural development. However, some words of advice: it is good to sustain this infrastructure, particularly these online or electronic procedures in this regulatory process.
I want to say a big thank you to all regulators here who take it into their full stride to give continued due diligence to the Nigerian people. Looking at NAFDAC, in the while that we've partnered with you, we've seen that we continue to drive ourselves for success. NAFDAC is usually the first amongst agencies to look for better ways in which businesses can thrive in Nigeria, particularly with the food industry, and we want to commend you for that.
You are still tuned to NAFDAC and your health. Don't go away.
As part of NAFDAC concerted effort to prevent incessant food poisoning and to safeguard the health of the nation, the agency wishes to advise the general public to take the following precautionary measures in food handling. Chemicals are not food, so do not taste with your tongue. It is dangerous to health and it can kill. It is dangerous to cook your meat with paracetamol or any drug. It can damage your liver, kidneys, or other organs. Do not ripen your fruits with calcium carbide. It can cause cancer or damage the kidneys or liver. It is dangerous to use sniper to keep insects and other flies away from any food products. Cooking does not remove sniper. Do not consume any mixture or herbal preparation that do not have NAFDAC number. It could be deadly. Too much monosodium glutamate food seasoning that comes as cube or in sachet can be dangerous to your health. Do not add any chemical to food or drink to make it sour or improve taste. Safe food. Everyone's business. NAFDAC. Safeguarding the health of the nation.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to NAFDAC and your health.
The notion that NAFDAC does not approve of herbal medicine is indeed an erroneous one. On the contrary, NAFDAC acknowledges that herbal medicines have potent powers and can be used for curative purposes. But what is important and of concern to NAFDAC is that herbal medicines must pass through necessary laboratory tests to ascertain that they have been prepared with ingredients that are not injurious to human health and can be consumed in the manner that they have been concocted. Once the herbal medicines presented to the agency successfully go through the necessary tests, they get the agency's approval. And the practitioners of herbal medicines who have had their products go through these processes are satisfied with the procedure.
In terms of registration of herbal medicinal products, I believe that the herbal practitioners are satisfied or contented with where we are. The issue that has come up on and off is our expectations. Our expectations are based on international standards, and actually we actually expect minimal documentation from them, and I mean relatively minimal, but we still need to know the history, what the herbal medicinal product has been used for before. So if anybody goes to our website and go through the images that flash and you see the herbal medicine image, you go there, you click on the template in terms of what we expect. Anybody can see on our website our expectations. On that particular web page, we asterisk some points. Those are points or documents that will need to be provided. We did not asterisk some other points to just give room for as many as possible to submit. If a herbal practitioner is from the university, a researcher, we expect such researcher to submit a lot compared to our herbalists. So I would say that they are contented in terms of registration. However, when we now have to go, they have to go online to do registration. Sometimes there are some hitches, and that happens with any electronically based registration portal. And I believe that we've been coming on their side to help whenever there are issues in terms of the electronic registration. Another area of challenge is inspection. The hygienic situation in the particular place where the herbal medicine is being manufactured. We want, again, to make sure that where the herbal medicine is being manufactured is hygienic. There must be a good flow, no matter how small. There must be a good flow, meaning where the raw materials are not the same where they are cleaned, they are not the same where they are dried, things like that, so that there will not be contamination. And it is all about public health. It's all about safeguarding health of our people. The fact that something is herbal doesn't mean that we have to lower or expose the public to danger. But again, we try as much as possible to make sure that it is almost like the cottage industry for some herbal medicinal practitioners. But we also advise those who may not have the capacity to have this good layout, that they may want to collaborate with the bigger practitioners so that for a fee, that's an agreement. A lawyer, 2 lawyers have to be involved to do confidentiality agreement or business agreement so that they can contract out their herbal medicine for the bigger facility to manufacture for them. So regulatory inspection and registration, I believe those are the 2 big challenges that many times they face.
In spite of the cooperation, understanding, and the readiness to collaborate with the practitioners of herbal medicine displayed by NAFDAC, it is disappointing that some of them still defy the stipulated rules set by the regulatory agency to produce unapproved herbal medicines and in unhygienic environments too. The operatives of NAFDAC found out an illegal herbal mixture production site in the city of Ibadan, where a kind of herbal mixture packaged in small plastic bottles are made. The NAFDAC team, led by the zonal director of the agency in Ibadan, Mrs. Roseline Ajayi, was shocked to see the grossly unhygienic environment where the herbal mixture is being concocted. Loads of herbs used as raw materials were found at the illegal production site.
This is criminal, and for criminal offenses, we hand them over to our enforcement that we do the needful in terms of prosecution and whatever is needful. For now, it's the producer. He is the only one that has been arrested, and he was detained overnight, but we have to bring him here this afternoon for this exercise.
When asked why he could embark on such illegality without securing NAFDAC's approval, this is what the operator of the production factory has to say.
You plead that you borrow the money. They are threatening me to return the money. That's when I decided to start in the
Before you embark on production, have you gone for any training on this? Who trained you, and what is your level of education on this?
I went to primary school and secondary school.
You have O level?
Yeah.
On this herbal medicine stuff, have you gone for any training on it?
I inherited it.
You inherited
The illegal herbal mixture manufacturer added that the product has been in the market for 5 years. This points to the degree of abysmal damage that the product would have caused to the health of its consumers over the years. NAFDAC is, however, poised to continue to clamp down on such products as there are still scores of them being sold to the public.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the program. Make it a date with us, same time, same station next week for another informative package. Meanwhile, we'd love to have your comments, complaints, or reports on any suspected case of fake drugs or adulterated food products. We are easily accessible.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email, reforms@nafdac.gov.ng, or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763-0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Importing, producing, distributing, and selling of fake drugs and adulterated food products are all life-endangering and illegal. Be part of the fight against them so that our nation can be safe. Till we meet again next week, be safe.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Words like "don't tell anyone, no one will believe you" can change any child's life for the worse. Childhood has been known to be a period of learning and sweet memories, but for some children, it is full of deep anguish, sadness, and timidity. The World Health Organization, about 1 billion children have experienced one form of sexual violence in the past 1 year. In Nigeria, 1 in 4 girls and 10% of boys have experienced sexual abuse. After reaching out to many survivors who refused to share their experiences, Omolayo agreed to speak with me. She is a survivor and now a therapist.
Remember, the first one happened at 7 by a relative living in our house, and subsequent ones happened with neighbors, and it went on for a while, and I couldn't speak out about it because I didn't know it had a name. I didn't know it was called sexual abuse. I just knew that I didn't enjoy it. It was disgusting and I needed it to stop. I had some courage. I wanted to confront him and say, I don't ever want to see him in my house again and all that. But when we got to his house, we didn't meet him at home. We met his elder sister because he was staying with his elder sister. And we expressed everything to her. Oh, I mean, I heard the kind of insults I heard that day. She blamed me for everything. She said it was my fault. She said I lied. I felt humiliated. I felt embarrassed. I wished I didn't come out to speak. And that time I made up my mind I wasn't ever going to speak about it again.
She explains that sex education is important for children at a young age.
Growing up, we were not taught we could say no to adults, and then we didn't know that we could tell an adult, you can't touch me there. What sex education also does is it protects the child from becoming a pedophile too. Because when you teach sex education, you teach boundaries. You let the child know that when someone says no, no means no. You let the child know that nobody touches your private parts. You do not touch other people's private parts.
As the cases keep increasing, experts advise more advocacy from the NGOs. I visited a foundation in Lagos State that caters to victims of sexual abuse. They show me around their facility while explaining the process of getting justice for the victims.
The child needs healing, which is the reason why we've launched the clinic. Get the healing, the treatment that the child needs, put the child in the shelter till the child is calm enough to have that conversation with either a therapist or the forensic interviewer. We always first go and have the child speak with the therapist. Of course, the therapist is trained to get the trust of the child, is trained to know if the child is ready to have an interview. So those processes, first of all, have to be put in place before we put a child in front of a forensic interviewer to elicit information on their.
Child sexual abuse has become an epidemic, a silent epidemic that affects both male and female.
Now, this is a case where the victims are traumatized, unable to speak up, and most times the culprits are people close to home. Now, although there are laws and policies against such acts, does it work? Does it actually cover all the victims? Is it such where the victims are able to get justice without the case running cold? I then went to the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, where cases are being reported and taken up in courts.
In the criminal law of Lagos State, we have section 137, which provides for the offense of defilement. Defilement is basically having sexual intercourse with a person below the age of 18, and that is life imprisonment. When such crimes come to your attention and you attempt or you take steps to conceal that crime, it's punishable by an offense up to, I believe, 3 years imprisonment.
For a child, sexual abuse is more than just physical. It affects the emotional, mental, and psychological well-being. And for some, it damages them for life.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
Taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
With investigations that matter.
bringing in news that affects your life.
With sports, entertainment, and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Every night. At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Genuine business people desirous of success in today's environment ignore the taxman only at their own peril.
Under the oversight of this board, the FIRS will continue its transformation into a premier revenue collecting agency.
For up-to-date and accurate information on your obligations, duties and rights under the various tax laws in Nigeria, watch Tax Matters on TVC News Thursday 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m.
And tonight in sports, Royal Antwerp win first Dutch league title in 66 years.
This is TVC News at 7, reaching you live from our headquarters here in Lagos. We begin from the nation's Federal Capital Territory, where the Nigeria Labour Congress is currently in a closed-door meeting with the federal government on the full subsidy removal. The Nigeria Labour Congress has called on workers to commence a nationwide strike on Wednesday, 7th of June, 2023. Meanwhile, the National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja has restrained the Nigeria Labour Congress as well as the Trade Union Congress from embarking on any planned industrial action pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice filed by the federal government. Ruling on an ex parte motion filed by the federal government, Justice Olufunke Anuwe held that Section 7, subsection B of the National Industrial Court Act 2006 empowers the court with exclusive jurisdiction in matters relating to the grant of any order to restrain any person or body from taking part in any strike, lockout, or any industrial action. The court agreed with the submission of the federal government in its ex parte motion that the proposed strike action is capable of disrupting economic activities, the health sector, and the educational sector. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has encouraged security agencies in the country to share intelligence and information among themselves and collaborate in the fight against terrorism and extremism. The president said this when he visited the office of the National Security Advisor and was shown around the facility at the Counterterrorism Center. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
The second week of the Tinubu presidency starts with a tour of the country's newly built Counter-Terrorism Center, inaugurated in March. President Bola Tinubu had said security will be a top priority of his administration, and his first visit to this critical security infrastructure is to get up close to the country's counter-terrorism strategy.
What I've seen here is a demonstration of intelligent effort to counter terrorism. It must be backed by knowledge. Counter-terrorism that is not backed by knowledge is not going to be of any service to any nation.
For Mr. President, he believes the failure of security agencies to share intelligence has also slowed down government's efforts to fight terrorism despite huge funding.
The effort of the entire armed forces of this country must be put together in a way that will form one single focus on securing the country. You can't have a disharmony in an orchestra of this security plan.
The National Security Advisor says the visit of the country's commander-in-chief shows his commitment to improving the security situation in Nigeria and, by extension, the sub-region of West Africa.
I urge you, Mr. President, not to relent in the support you've been giving us psychologically as a result of the meeting we had with you on Thursday of last week, and we are compelled to note that all the agencies have started working assiduously towards realizing your objective. Mr. President, you have a hard day and a long day ahead of you.
Nigeria's security situation has fluctuated between bad and worse over the years. Now President Tinubu will need to work harder to reform both the security doctrine and architecture and ultimately restore calm to the troubled regions of the country. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
And President Tinubu on Monday received the former governors of Rivers and Ebonyi states, Nyesom Wike and David Umahi, respectively, as well as Senator Godswill Akpabio, who is vying for the President of the Senate in the 10th National Assembly. This is the second time the former Rivers State governor will be visiting the president in 72 hours. Mr. Wike had, during his last visit, told State House correspondents that the move was strictly to show support as a Nigerian, denying insinuations that he wants to defect to the APC. The agenda for this visit is unclear, but it may not be unconnected with the leadership of the 10th Assembly that will be inaugurated next week. There's been a reduction in crime rates since January, according to the Inspector General of Police. But Usman Akali Baba is concerned about the removal of fuel subsidy and how it's triggering industrial actions capable of undermining security. Sifon Essien has details.
It's the first meeting the Inspector General of Police will be having with senior officers since President Bola Tinubu assumed office.
At this meeting,
he observes there has been a reduction in the reported incidents of crime in the country.
Available data and crime analysis between January to May 2023 reveal that the internal security situation of the country is relatively calm and continues to improve, with a decline in incidences of major crimes recorded across the 6 geopolitical zones.
But there are concerns the removal of subsidy on petrol will trigger industrial actions capable of undermining security.
There still remains prevailing and projected threats across the country, including aftermath of the fuel subsidy removal, with the emerging threats of industrial strike action, and consequently, we shall not rest on our oars. Rather, we must redouble our efforts to maintain the needed peace and stability of our democracy. This is critically important as we also prepare for the nation's Democracy Day, which is called June 12th.
The task before the police is enormous in the wake of planned reforms to the security sector of the country. Sifon Essien, TVC News, Abuja.
The Nigerian army has raised alarm on the number of people impersonating their men, and this is coming from the arrest of some suspects from different parts of Lagos State. Senior correspondent Ivy Kanu was at the 81 Division of the Nigerian Army and now reports.
Nigerians tend to believe that anyone seen on army uniform or introduces himself as an officer serving or retired is real. But this, the army says, is not the case.
They were arrested during our conduct of Operation Checkmate. It is a routine activity of the military police to nip in the bud all impostors and military offenders.
The only lady amongst the impostors appears to be a regular guest. As we were told, this is her 3rd time of being arrested and handed over to the Nigerian police. But somehow she finds her way out, not only back to the streets, but also back in the same crime.
It is a serious issue for us in the army because we keep on arresting civilians and we keep on handing over to the police. Within the space of 2 years, I'm sure that we have handed more than 180 impostors to the police. And how they get out of there so easily is what we cannot say.
While these ones were paraded, this other man whose passport the army provided for journalists also parades himself as Brigadier General, Colonel, Defense Attaché to France, and other ranks, was arrested earlier in the year. For close to 3 months, he has not showed up at the division.
We arrested him and we released him in March on open arrest to go and attend to his medical needs. But since then, he has not reported back for investigation. We got a tip-off that he presented himself as a brigadier general in Tinkan Long Room. And then we laid siege and we arrested him with 2 different vehicles and some military personnel who are presently under investigation.
Samuel Christopher, who is said to be constantly employing the services of military personnel, was arrested in company of one Nigerian Army band coaster bus conveying 11 Army personnel, 2 civil vehicles conveying 2 Air Force personnel as escorts, and 2 Nigerian Army personnel drivers. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
At least 3 persons have been reported killed in a fresh crisis between Tiv and Jukun in Wukari local government area of Taraba State over land dispute. The Taraba State chapter of Independent Peace Committee has condemned the renewed Tiv-Jukun hostility in Wukari, which led to the loss of lives. Chairman of the committee, Professor Talangaka, who raised concerns over the crisis, said 2 persons were killed along Wukari-Sokundu Road, and there was immediate reprisal in Wukari town as tension arose with escalation leading to the killing of yet-to-be-ascertained casualties. He therefore called on stakeholders in Wukari local government area to do everything to ensure the restoration of peace in the days ahead. Meanwhile, the State Police Public Relations Officer Usman Abdullahi, who spoke to TVC News, said security personnel have been drafted to the troubled area to maintain peace and order. He, however, confirmed the death of 3 persons during the crisis.
We have received information about the breakdown of peace in the Wukari local government area, particularly between Wukari town and Sokondi. These events that occurred yesterday started as minor issues, but ended up with the loss of lives. And the peace committee, it worries us greatly. So we want to pass on information and encouragement to those who are in leadership to try to dialogue and stem down the tide. That people should put down their swords. There's not every time there's a small event, somebody is rushing to kill somebody. That's not the Taraba that we want to build. Any small event, you hear somebody has died. 2 persons, 3 persons. And the Wukari secondary issue is like a recurring decimal. This time we hope that we will get to the root of it.
We're back with more stories after this break. Stay with us.
Moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching TVC News at 7. A recap of our top stories tonight. President Tinubu visits National Security Advisor's Office, talks about the need to share intelligence. 3 people killed in communal crisis in Wukari Council area of Taraba State. Ukrainian minister says forces are conducting offensive actions on the front line. And Royal Antwerp win first Belgian league title in 66 years. A year after gunmen attacked St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, the Olowo of Owo, Oba Agbadegeshin Ogunye, has challenged security agencies to bring perpetrators to book. Now, this is coming as the memorial park built by the state government to honor 41 persons killed by the gunmen is almost ready for commissioning. Ayodeji Muradio has details.
It is exactly 1 year after some gunmen invaded St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, killing 41 persons in the process and several others were injured. A visit to the church showed that no program was organized to commemorate the day as construction work was ongoing inside the compound.
We thank God for those who have returned.
The priest in charge of the church said the attack has affected attendance of parishioners.
Life has not been easy for the parishioners. It has been very, very difficult for them to begin again. We have not recorded 100%. Maybe let me say we have recorded 60%. So we thank God and we are hopeful that with time some of them will come, even maybe with this event and with the security architecture.
The law of Owo, Oba Agbadigesin Ogunyi, is disturbed because security agencies have not come up with the identities of the killers.
The prosecution should have started after much investigation. We are surprised that nobody is talking about that again. It behoves on government, particularly the security agencies, to live up to expectation in that regard. There must be investigation and there must be prosecution. Those people, there are people that lost their lives, cannot just be forgotten so easily like that. We are therefore calling on government to once again live up to expectations. The security agency must come out and give us information about those who have been arrested.
In the meantime, a memorial park built to honor the deceased is ready for commissioning.
Though some of those people may not know that they are not buried here, but at the same time, we see it as a place that we mark it for their remembrance.
Many programs have been lined up to commemorate the gruesome killings, which will go down as a dark day in the history of the town. Ayodiji Morade, TVC News, Owo.
The Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria has informed all its branches and chapters to begin mobilization for a nationwide action and withdrawal of service, which would commence on Wednesday, 7th June 2023. This followed the decision of the National Executive Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress at her meeting on 2nd June 2023 over the increase in the pump price of petroleum motor spirit by the federal government through the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited. In a statement issued by one MJ Akwashiki, the General Secretary of JUSUN, all zonal vice presidents are to coordinate their zones by ensuring that branch and chapters chairmen mobilize their members for a total compliance. The president of JUSUN, Marwa Mustafa Adams, also confirmed this position to TVC News. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the state remains committed to addressing the challenge of plastic waste in the environment. Speaking at an event to commemorate World Environment Day, the governor, represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Lagos Ministry of Environment, highlighted the state's efforts to reduce plastic waste.
Plastic pollution has reached alarming levels, threatening ecosystems and endangering marine life. On this World Environment Day, individuals, communities and organizations are joining forces to address this growing concern.
In communities around the world, some activists are raising awareness about the harmful effects of plastic waste and inspiring others to adopt more environmentally friendly practices. One of such activists is Doyinsola Ogunye, founder of a recycling scheme that empowers women and youth through the collection, aggregation and recycling of plastic waste. Her buyback program not only combats plastic pollution, but also provides economic opportunities for the participants.
We see value in plastic, and we've been able to send that signal of the value proposition we've seen in plastic to women that don't even understand that. So that way, we've been able to say, give us your plastic, we'll give you a monetary value for it. We are creating a system where you can earn from plastic and get other people, on your downline you can buy from as well. So what we've tried to do with Reswaye is to create a holistic system where you are not only seeing the value of plastic, but the environment is being better. Women and youth are being empowered as well.
In the meantime, governments too are taking action to address plastic pollution. Many have implemented policies to reduce single-use plastics and encourage recycling.
We are creating a circular economy around most of our waste management now, especially for the plastic bottles and the single-use ones, so that people can use what you call waste and be converted to other things. That's the way to go now.
Moreover, activists are calling for stricter regulations on plastic production and disposal. They emphasize the need to limit the escalating impact of plastic pollution on our environment.
Well, government needs to insist that the various business enterprises invest far more in tackling this plastic pollution, especially those enterprises that are responsible for using plastic selling their products. We can't continue this way, that there has to be a change of attitude in terms of fighting the plastic pollution. It can really start to break down a lot of the life forms that we have in our biosphere.
World Environment Day serves as a platform to showcase success stories and inspire further action. It urges individuals, businesses and governments to reassess their consumption patterns, adopt sustainable solutions and contribute to the global fight against plastic pollution. Esther Mopariola, TVC News, Lagos.
Traders and artisans at the popular Wunti Gate Market in Bauchi town are counting their losses after a Sunday fire outbreak that ravaged their properties. Many of the affected traders are pleading with the Bauchi state government to come to their aid to cushion the effect of the loss.
Some of my things I've not seen there, but he's shocked and he has lost everything. So we really need assistance. I don't know if the government can help. We really appreciate that.
We lost a lot of things. Our wrappers, machine. Like me, I was having hairdressing. So before I came, they packed all our things outside. So and now some of our things we did not see some of them.
Enugu State Governor Putamba says his administration is determined to revive the Igbo spirit of hard work, culture of commerce and industry that Igbo are known for. He gave the words of assurance after inspecting workers' turnout at the State Civil Service Secretariat in compliance with an order to end Monday sit-at-home in Enugu. Bamdeli Ajayi reports.
On 1st of June, Governor Putamba, in a broadcast, issued an order to end Monday sit-at-home in Enugu State. An action, he says, will kill the spirit of hard work that Igbo are known for. He also used the medium to appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to fast-track the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. According to him, his release will end insecurity in the southeast. To ascertain the compliance level, Governor Mba went round civil service offices to monitor workers' turnout to work. At the head of service office, a appreciable number of workers were on hand to receive the governor. Governor Putamba was also taking around the State Secretariat, Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, and the State Treasury House to have first-hand information about workers' turnout. It says adequate security are provided to ensure safety of lives and property.
So we cannot have people who kill the spirit of our people dictate to us the days we should go to work and the days we should sit at home. It is totally unacceptable. And so we have to revive that spirit of hard work. You know, that culture of commerce and industry that our people are known by.
At Ogbete and Mayor Market, the governor reassured the people of his administration's resolve to restore the Igbo's pride by leading a state where private investment thrives.
And I want to call on the good people of Enugu State, whose mandate that I'm using to speak here, that they should understand that we cannot realize the promises we've made to them. We cannot deliver if we're not productive. Each Monday that we do not come out to work, we are losing over 10 billion naira in economic activities.
Leaders of Mayor and Ogbete Market commended the governor's initiative.
We announced it in the evening that all of them should come to market, and this morning they responded.
I believe by the next Monday there will be a very big difference.
A drive round at the state capital Monday morning, every security presence are sighted at each checkpoint. Bamidele Ajayi, TVC News, Enugu.
Emerging young leaders in Nigeria are insisting that for political systems to be representative, all parts of the society must be included. And this was the focus of the roundtable discussion with former young government officials who shared governance experience and expectations of young people from the government. Correspondent Habidalawa reports.
When young people are disenfranchised or disengaged from political processes, a significant portion of the population has little or no voice of influence in decisions that affect group members' lives. To make a difference in the long run, it is essential that young people are engaged in formal political processes and have a say in formulating today's and tomorrow's politics.
Come and talk as if
These group of young Nigerians who have been on the political terrain believe for young people to be adequately represented in political institutions, processes and decision-making, and in particular in elections, they must know their rights and be given the necessary knowledge and capacity to participate in a meaningful way at all levels.
And it's provided a platform for these young people to run, which maybe they wouldn't have been able to do before the act was put into place. So we need to recognize that and realize that things don't change overnight.
A lot of people keep asking, are young people ready? This is an example. These people in this hall, who I am celebrating today, is an example that young people are not only ready, but they are contributing their quota to nation building and Nigeria's young democracy.
A spotlight on countries in transition shows that young people's active contributions can bring democratic values to life.
For me, not only was I a young person entering the political space, I was a young diasporan who had just moved to Nigeria, having spent the entirety of my life abroad. So for me, moving back home meant I had to build a new network of friends, of colleagues, of allies. And I think coming in very humble, quietly learning, respecting the civil service and the public service space, and understanding that they're smart. There are a lot of people within the system who want to be change agents, who are change agents, and who can teach you how to be better.
If the APC was a kitchen, it was a food, then Ismail is part of the people that cooked it. Longevity matters, consistency matters. I have never wavered. I have never jumped from one place to another. I'm not driven by the desire to just look for positions, but to contribute as a politician. And I don't want people saying that it's not a career or that you need to have a second address. Politics is a career.
Electoral stakeholders have a role to play in promoting young people's participation in formal decision-making processes.
Many developing African countries are beginning to see youth inclusion in governance as a tool for tackling underdevelopment. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
The fractional chairman of Imo State Labour Party, loyal to Lamidi Apapa-led National Executive, says any state congress held without his approval remains null and void. Speaking in Owerri, the Imo State capital, Ikechukwu Akujobi, said he remains the authentic state chairman of the party, having been reinstated by the acting national chairman. According to Mr. Akujobi, the Labour Party governorship candidate in the state, Athan Achonu, is a product of illegality.
Anybody that involve himself in that Congress should be termed as anti-party, and we won't take it lightly. I've come to rearrange the Imo State Labour Party that they have bastardized. All of you can bear me witness that the Labour Party we are hearing now is not the Labour Party you have been hearing before. This Labour Party now is selling to the highest bidder. How can you collect over 25 million naira from each aspirant for over 17 people and you run a sham primary?
Governor of Taraba State, Kefas Agbu, has declared a state of emergency on primary and secondary education in the state. The governor told journalists during an interactive session in Jalingo that he has worked out a template for the success of his free and compulsory primary and secondary education in the state. We have details in this report.
Gathering are media practitioners in Taraba State. The meeting is at the instance of Governor Kefas Agbu, who wants them to have a first-hand information about his administration and his target in office before 100 days. The governor explained that his 5-point developmental agenda will be pursued vigorously and that security, health,